Good morning, Gina Valley, and welcome to the 2019-2020 edition of the Valley Soup. I'm Grant Musser.
I'm Brooke Booney.
And today we will be having a discussion about summer with the elementary principal, Dr. Quinter.
Tasty!
Good morning, Gina Valley, and welcome to the 2019-2020 edition of the Valley Soup. I'm Grant Musser.
I'm Brooke Booney.
And today we will be having a discussion about summer with the elementary principal, Dr. Quinter.
So, we had about 3 months for summer. What did you do over the summer?
So one of the most exciting things that I did this summer was participated in a program with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. I went to an island close to Tangier Island, right in the middle of the bay in Virginia, and spent 3 days there with school leaders from Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. While we were there, we participated in a lot of hands-on environmental education type activities, and then we were also able to visit Tangier Island to learn about its history and the fishery and crabbing industries. And of course, a lot of the focus of the education was partly the environmental impacts that are happening on the industries there, and then also how we can kind of bring that outdoor learning space back to our schools. So here at the Valley, how I can connect what I learned this summer to what we're doing at our school now.
Well, that sounds like a lot more fun than I had this summer. Spent a lot of time working, but you mentioned about outdoor learning spaces, and I know here that we have the Nature Center, so I mean that'll be very interesting to see stuff like that come back because I mean I haven't been outside for learning since seventh, eighth grade, so I mean that'll be very exciting to see.
Yeah, so on our first day of school, one of the projects that we did was our first in-service day with teachers. One of the projects that we did was just kind of a survey of our outdoor spaces. So teachers and staff members got into small groups and they went outside and each one had a task. So one of the tasks was, what are some things that we see outside that we could write or draw about? What are some ways that we can collect data? What are some ways that we can learn about our culture and local history? So teachers kind of collated this entire list of different ways that we can do that. And so far this year, we've done some different activities with that. You know, Mrs. Stahl's been out front looking at the gardens and drawing with students. Some of our younger students have gone outside, looking for something as simple as different kinds of shapes that they can find, making observations about trees and wildlife that are in our area. So I think we're really fortunate because of where our school is that we have all of those opportunities literally right outside our door.
That sounds very exciting too. I mean, personally, as a part of the broadcasting group, I mean, that'd be very exciting to get some footage of that too, because I mean, really, we do live in such a beautiful place. So, I mean, being able to go outside for classes and learning in a different style, being able to take everything in, I think that would be a very exciting thing to film and put on the YouTube channel.
So that was one of the neat pieces this summer for me is that, as a principal, generally in the summer, I'm doing things like getting the handbooks ready and getting the schedules ready and preparing the school for the upcoming year. And so for me personally, it was a very different kind of learning too. So we were, literally on this reserve on an island for 3 days, had a lot of kind of authentic local type foods, which was really awesome. We got to go out on the boat, we set crab pots, learned about, the baiting and the catching practices. I got to spend a day on Tangier Island, actually, so we were able to go to, one of the restaurants had seafood literally right off the boat that was caught that day, which was really awesome. One of the neat pieces when we were there was that we got to also visit the school. So it's a K-12 building. Everyone is in one building, and this current school year, I think they had just under 50 students, K through 12. So it was really cool. We got to meet with the principal, and she talked with us about how, there are, 4 juniors, but 0 first graders, and just kind of how they manage all of that within a small community. She was really fascinating person, had been a teacher, had gone on to get an administrative degree, a doctorate. She is, in fact, the only person who has her doctorate that lives on the island. And so it was really cool just to talk to her about some of the challenges and some of the really neat pieces. I think here we get a kind of feel for what it's like to be in a small, close-knit community in a small, close-knit school. But at the same time, we can kind of get off the island easily. where on Tangier, on that island, they're really unable to do that. There are some shuttles that go a time or two a day, but it's more difficult for them to do some of those pieces. It was really fascinating to see the school and to spend that day with her. So we met in Crestfield, Maryland. So just after you cross the Bay Bridge, it's literally just south. So it's on the kind of western part of that peninsula that has like Ocean City on the eastern side. So we met in Crestfield, Maryland, and we're literally loaded the boat, and we're on the boat for about 45 minutes to get to where we stayed, which is right across from Tangier Island. So one of if you would look up this island at this point, it has actually become fairly popular in the news and in the scientific world, because one of their largest industries is the crabbing industry and soft shell crabs. And over time, the island, as a combination of erosion and subsidence and climate and environmental factors that clearly humans have an impact on as well, they've lost land on the island, and so they've had to do things like change where their docks are, change how their boats work, change where there are some places where there were buildings that were once there that are no longer there. So they're really feeling this kind of urgency for how do we help preserve this island that is literally there and losing acres every year. Yeah, so it was wild too. There's a book actually called Chesapeake Requiem that was written by a journalist who spent over time at least a year's worth of time there on the island, and just kind of learning how the politics and culture and all of those interactions work. Kind of looking at the history and the ancestry and all of those pieces too. It's a really interesting and fascinating place.
What was it like coming back to school?
What was it like coming back to school? It's always interesting. So in the elementary building several years ago, we had done a professional development, and it talked a lot about teachers and people who work in schools leading interesting lives, and what that sort of brings to our experiences that we can bring to students in the classroom. So very similar to what you're planning to do with a series of podcasts. So kind of what are those things that we do outside of school that are refreshing or different learning opportunities, or that give us experiences that we can then bring to students. So for me, it was really exciting to meet a whole different group of people. It was exciting to learn about a different area. I think for us, we know we're part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, but we don't necessarily think about what we do and the way that we live and the interaction that has on the people and the places on the other end of that watershed. So it was really exciting for me to learn from other school leaders, other teachers, to find out the kinds of things that they're doing in their school. It was a very, like I said, just kind of a refreshing and rejuvenating experience for me. On the very last day, one of the things that we did was we canoed the entire way around the island that we were staying on. Canoed the entire way around, and when we got to almost to the end where we were coming back in, the leader passed out postcards and watercolors to all of us. So we literally sat in our canoes in the bay, using the water of the bay to kind of do this reflection piece of what it was like. And she joked that she would mail them to us whenever the first snow came this fall. So I think just those kind of pieces that kind of make you think about what you do in a different way and give you some different background are really important. I came back really fired up about environmental ed and what we do. We got really cool Save the Bay hats that I wore for like a week, I think. Mr. Quinter was laughing about it. But it just kind of gave me a new appreciation for a different area and the way that all of our interactions impact everyone.
We're going to switch up the gears a little bit. We want to know what your outlook for this year is, and what's the mindset, how you think this year is going to go for the Junior Valley Elementary School and school district.
We're super excited about this year. Like I said, I kind of came back from this really excited about environmental ed, and also just really excited about kind of that social emotional learning piece, kind of taking time for yourself and thinking about what that means and how our interactions impact others around us. So A couple of the pieces that we're doing this year, we had initiated a partnership with Shavers Creek last year, which we're going to do again this year. So each grade level will have an opportunity to interact with staff either here on campus or at Shavers Creek, which is a cool environmental ed connection. We're also starting a new program called Project Team, which is a social emotional learning piece. So things like helping others, making a positive change, being a problem solver, being resilient, all of those pieces. And we have a core team that's super excited about that as well. So we're kind of rolling that out and seeing how that's going. We're just, I think, looking forward to a really great year. We've had an awesome start and kind of looking for some ways to refresh and renew some of those pieces and just kind of to acknowledge each of our roles within a school community.
Personally, I wish we had some of those things when we were in elementary school. I don't know about you, Grant.
That's so long ago now. I barely remember it. We'd like to thank you for coming on today. I mean, that was an amazing story. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, this Tangier Island sounds incredible. Honestly, incredible. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and telling us about that.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back to round 2 of How Was Your Summer? We are now joined by Miss Joivell. I'm Brooke Booney. Grant Muster cannot be here, but he's here in spirit. We hear you had a very eventful summer. Can you please tell us what happened?
Yes. So, if you know me, many people know that I like the outdoors. And about 6 or 7 years ago, I started backpacking as a way to spend more extended periods of time outside. And so this past year, I thru hiked the Mid-State Trail. Now, the Mid-State Trail is a trail that goes from Maryland to New York. So it goes all the way through Pennsylvania, and it's 325 miles. So it was a really long walk. It took about a month.
What kind of stuff did you see along the way?
So animals, I saw 2 bears, and that was really exciting because one was right on the trail in front of me. And you know, when you see a bear in the woods and you're by yourself, you need to make a lot of noise. And I would stick my hiking poles up in the air and try to look really big. Not to hurt the bear, but to scare the bear away and make it think, you know, that I'm more scary than it is. And most animals are scared of humans and will run away right away. And then, in addition to the bears, other scary animals I saw 7 rattlesnakes along the whole trail.
I don't like snakes.
Yeah, so that was pretty sketchy. You just have to be careful because a lot of the Mid-State Trail goes up on the rocky ridgelines in Pennsylvania. So, you know, you have to be careful where you put your feet and listen for animals. So I'm sure all of you have actually been on the Mid-State Trail. If you've been in Barre, you've been on the Mid-State Trail. And if you've been over on the Lauer Trail, you've been on the Mid-State Trail. So it goes right through the Lauer Trail. It follows the Lauer Trail from Williamsburg to Alexandria. And then it cuts through the woods and goes over to Barre. And then it goes up the mountain behind Barre. So it's a trail that's right in the middle of the valley, which is pretty cool. So isolated-wise, the Mid-State Trail is actually considered, it's called Pennsylvania's wildest footpath. And it's called that because it feels so isolated from everything else. It's not like, if you're familiar with the Appalachian Trail, it's a very heavily traveled trail. You know, hundreds of thru hikers every year, about a quarter of which succeed on the thru hike. But the Appalachian Trail has a lot of infrastructure, so there's lots of road crossings and lots of places to get food along the way. And a lot of thru hikers don't even mail themselves packages, they just go to Unimarts that are along the way and can resupply that way. The Mid-State Trail is a totally different animal because it's not set up with infrastructure like the Appalachian Trail. And it's very lightly traveled. There's probably about 3 to 5 thru hikers a year, whereas the Appalachian Trail is hundreds. So I saw about, other than in state parks that the Mid-State goes through, I saw about like 7 people the whole time and bumped into them mostly near state parks also. So that was pretty interesting. But resupplying then becomes kind of an organizational nightmare a little bit. So I had a support crew that would come bring me packages. The other way to do it is if you can't get a support crew, you can mail packages to yourself at state parks and post offices. But that can get a little expensive. So I did a support crew and they brought me packages along the way. Carrying about 3 to 5 days of food every time. And so my backpack normally is about 20 to 25 pounds without the food. And then, you know, with the food, it was about 30 to 35. The whole Mid-State Trail is 325 miles. And then each day I hiked between 15 and 20 miles. But then, of course, you can take 0 mile days, which are called zeros. And everybody loves the zeros. And zeros is where you maybe go to a state park and rent a cabin or go to a hotel or go to a hostel, and you stay there for a whole day and don't hike any miles. And so those are nice days to have 0-mile days.
You teach kindergarten, so you have the younger kids going from seeing, like you said, about 7 people. How did you come back to just little kids with so much energy?
Actually, like being on the trail and seeing so few people, it actually energizes me to teach the kindergarten students and then the after school science club. It inspires me to teach them more about environmental education because there are so many cool things to see out there. So, while you're out there by yourself, you kind of are processing all the things you're seeing on your own because there aren't any distractions of mostly other people. And of course, there's no internet or television or anything like that. So there's no distractions, and you can really appreciate all the things in nature. So it really helps me, I think, recenter my environmental education teaching for when I come back to Juniata Valley. And last week we were studying plants out in Mrs. Grugan's Sustainability Club Community Garden. So we do a lot of outdoor education in kindergarten. It's a lot of fun. So we're very lucky here, so I encourage everybody to get out and explore. And if you don't want to do the 325 miles, that's cool. Go out and just do a mile or two. You'll see a lot. You'll be surprised how much you see just doing, a couple miles out in the woods.
And welcome back to the first podcast of the 2019 school year. I'm Grant Musser.
I'm Brooke Rooney.
Today we'll be talking about...
What we did over the summer.
Yes. First, I'll start off with asking Brooke some questions. So, Brooke, what was the most exciting thing you did this summer?
My summer was full of softball tournaments. The most exciting part about that was probably going to Colorado.
So, is that the farthest place you went this summer for softball?
Yes.
It is? Okay. I know you said about playing softball all summer, so tell me some of the things that you were able to do whenever you're at these tournaments while you weren't playing softball.
At the tournaments, we would get together as a team before our games in the hotel. And then after our games, sometimes we would go out to eat. And then there were also times where my family and I would go and tour some places. For instance, in Colorado, we went up in the Rocky Mountains.
That's fun. So overall, how did the summer go softball-wise?
It was alright. Not too many great things, but not too many bad things either.
Solid. So like we've been asking the teachers, I'm now going to ask you, I know it's your senior year. I'm a senior too, and we're very excited, but what's your outlook on this year?
I'm excited for the year. It's a little sad because it's our last year, like you said, but I'm excited for the new things we have coming and all the sports.
Good.
Alright, now I'm going to ask Grant some questions. So Grant, I know you worked a lot this summer.
Yes, I did.
How
Shout
was
out
that?
Links Landscaping. Working wasn't bad. The people I worked for, Hunter Link, he's a landscaper in Altoona. Super nice guy. Really worked with me well because, I obviously have a lot of football going on over the summer. So anytime I needed off for football or anything, worked well. Pretty much, we did a lot of mowing. Worked with him and his son, Harrison. Harrison was super cool kid. Really liked him. And so really, it was just a lot of, window time going from job to job and mowing a lot of grass. We did put in a fence though in my last 2 weeks. And that was an adventure. We definitely had fun putting in the fence.
So, other than work, what did you do?
Like I said, I did a lot of football stuff. I didn't really take a vacation this summer, anywhere special, but I did go to went to different camps. I went to one in New York. I went to one in Bloomsburg. Went to a couple just around here almost. The one in New York was at Hamilton College, so 6 hours away. But really, I just went and I just enjoyed the summer, enjoyed these camps. We went to different things while we were at that camp. I went to one in Scranton at Misericordia College and just, finding out about what those places have. I spent a lot of time whenever I wasn't working or at camps, which, I got off work at 3 o'clock. So I spent a lot of time with my friends. We did a lot, just being kids. We'd go out to the lake, go on the boat, we'd hang out at night, get in Darren's hot tub, that kind of stuff. Go swimming, so just a lot of having fun, enjoying one of my last summers here.
So, speaking of being with your friends, how did it feel coming back to school, not having some of the guys from last year?
Well, you just hit home there. It's weird. Jackson and Quinn, Kyle, they're all just like Paul. I spent a lot of time with them last year, and they were, obviously some of my best friends. Now they're at college doing great things, Kyle's at basic training right now. Can't thank him enough for the service that he's doing for our country. It's awesome seeing Jackson and Quinn play football. Quinn just had a big game last week. It's amazing seeing that from them. Still talk to Paul every once in a while. It's weird because, I've seen those guys in the halls or at lunch for literally the past 12 years every day I've come into school. So, now that it's our year to graduate and they're not around anymore, it's a little bit unique, a little bit of an interesting take on things.
So I'm going to ask you the same thing you asked me. What's your outlook on this year?
Very excited. Very, very excited. We have so many good sports programs. Obviously, the volleyball is 6-0 right now. Football is doing great. Girls basketball is going to be amazing again this year. Baseball is going to be a fun time. Our marching band and our band looks like they're just, they're doing what they always do. They're proud of the valley. They make good music and it's fun to listen and watch. So extremely excited for that. Classes, got some of the best teachers in the school this year. I'm missing Senor for sure. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just excited. We have what, 160, 150 some days until we're graduated, and I'm just excited to see how the recruiting process pans out, see where I'm going to college, and excited to move on. Not wishing away my senior year, but I'm also excited to see what's outside of the valley.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome back to round 3 of What Did You Do Over the Summer? I'm Brooke Booney, and I am here with Mrs. Miner.
Hello.
So we've asked multiple other teachers, and they had some interesting stories. So can you tell us what you did over the summer?
Sure. So the majority of my summer was spent doing 2 things, attending weddings and doing research for my master's degree. So the weddings are, right now I'm at the age where a lot of my friends are getting married, but from talking to a lot of people, it seems like I have way more weddings than. So Brooke, if you had to guess how many I've been to, just in general, knowing that it's a weird number, what would you guess?
13.
Wow, I wish. I had 13 this year. So by the end of this wedding season, I still have 2 more weddings left. My husband and I will have been to 34 weddings together.
That's crazy.
It's a lot. I haven't been in all of them. I've only been in, a handful of those. But so our weddings took us to some cool places. We went up to upstate New York for one, and then went to Michigan, way up north Michigan, Traverse City. So it's really pretty up there, but it's a long drive. We flew, but it's a long drive to get up there. Where else did we go? New York. We had a couple in PA, which was nice. Then we had one not too far, also in New York. So traveling around a lot, but the furthest one was Jamaica.
Jamaica?
Yeah, it was really nice. So my husband's best friend and his wife got married there. So we made it a vacation. So we were there for 4 or 5 days. And that was really nice. It's really pretty out there. We had good weather. But I came home and I got really sick. I got walking pneumonia. So the trip was great, but I'm still recovering from that. So I got really sick. But other than that, that was the furthest that we went for a wedding. And we still have 2 left. We have one in Michigan again, and then one that's here near home. So that's nice. But we're not done just yet. And already 3 for next year. So the schedule is just building. And, my master's degree. So a lot of people most people don't, I guess, know. I guess some of my students know, but I got accepted into a program for a master's degree in Holocaust and Genocide Studies. So any of my students that have had me for 8th grade in the last 7 years, I teach about the Holocaust. And a couple of years ago, I went to a training where I kind of learned a better way to teach it. And then the further I went into that, I realized that I was really interested in just more about it and how to teach it and how to use it to really teach lessons, to just teach more about kindness and how to treat people and how to make just the world in general a better place, both in my classroom and outside the classroom. So I got into this program, and it's definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I was not expecting, I guess, the amount of work. So a lot of my summer when I wasn't traveling for weddings, although the work followed me there, I was doing research. So in my last 2 big papers, I researched the Holocaust Museum in DC, which our juniors are going to be going to here in the next 2 months or so. And I learned all about how that got established, which took a very long time, actually. And knowing what happened, it's kind of surprising it was even built in the first place. And then my most recent research was all done about how survivors were treated when they returned back to some of their home nations. I focused on Poland because Poland was where the majority of a lot of the camps were set up. So I researched just the treatment, and even though in class, people have assumed that they were welcomed back and people want to make sure they're okay, just because the war was over and the Nazis had lost, a lot of those attitudes towards those people they were not gone. So a lot of survivors ended up going not home. They ended up leaving because they couldn't be at home. So that's my latest. I have a break right now for like 2 months from grad work, so I've been really taking advantage of just having just normal schoolwork and not having to spend hours researching and reading and whatever. But super interesting. It was a very busy summer. It went really fast. But yeah, I spent my summer still in school and celebrating love. So I guess that's not a bad way to spend a summer.
Well, I mean, even though you spent the summer with school, how did you feel coming back to school?
This is my 10th year teaching, which people have a hard time believing, but it is in fact my 10th year because I started working here right after I graduated from college. And every year, it's hard for teachers to come back. Kids have a hard time, but so do we. It's definitely a lot to know. You have all the summertime in the world to wake up and just hang out and kind of plan your days and build your own new routines. And every year I've had a really hard time coming back. And this year I was ready to be back at work. I don't know if it's I hit a point where I was just more motivated to be working again, but I came in before we had to, which I usually don't do. I came in and started setting up my room and was getting things ready, and I just felt I was ready for work to start. If you had asked me last year, I would have told you that I didn't step foot in this place from the day that school let out until the next day, when we had to come back for work in August. And Mr. Eastep always would joke that he's I'm just a ghost because he doesn't see me at all. But this summer I was here, I came in here and there, and I was just ready. And I feel good, but I think part of it is because I just have this to focus on. I don't have all my grad work. I'm sure when that starts it'll be overwhelming again, but it's been good. I feel, I don't know, I was ready. You get kind of bored sometimes. And I like the routine of work, my eating routines, what time I eat, because that changes over the summer. And then I got to get back into my routine of eating breakfast really early in the morning again instead of 8:30, because obviously we're in class. And I think that's the same for kids, because some of them eat they eat lunch at 10:30. That's just craziness to me. There were days when I didn't eat breakfast until 10:30 because I was just lounging around, watching TV. But and I read some books too. I started rereading Harry Potter for fun.
I could never read Harry Potter.
Oh, it's so
I don't
good.
know why.
But have you ever read it?
I read the first chapter of the first book.
That's so good. So I decided to start rereading them. And also it's good when I am doing my grad work. A lot of the stuff, because of what I'm studying with the Holocaust and genocide, it's very dark and it can mentally be exhausting, just the amount of work, but what you're reading. It's not like you're reading pleasant things. Most of what you're reading is instances where it's, can be hard mentally. So one of the things that my advisor for that program kind of requires us to do is pick something to do before you go to bed so that you're not dreaming. It does happen a lot too when I'm if I watch Criminal Minds before I go to bed, usually my dreams then somehow revolve whatever I just watched. So she made us pick something, for her it was Friends. She would just watch reruns of Friends, but something to get your mind out of that. Otherwise you're just kind of thinking about it too much and your dreams get influenced and then it just kind of consumes you. So Harry Potter sort of became my, I'll read a chapter before I go to bed just to get my brain somewhere else. That or I watch The Office, because The Office, that helps too. But it's good. I'm on book 3 right now. So that's The Prisoner of Azkaban, in case you wanted to know. Love my reading and enjoying it for fun, because once grad work starts, it's really hard to have time. And between prepping for teaching things, it's hard to have time for pleasure reading where you get to pick up something and read. It's really hard to build in that time.
So now that we're back in school, what's your outlook on the year?
Well, I'm excited for the year. I feel like I have a really good group of kids for 8th grade and 10th grade. 10th grade, I've already taught them before, so it's kind of nice when there's, I guess, upsides and downsides, to having kids 2 different times, which a lot of teachers in our school have to do. Downside-wise, if things didn't go well with the class or like you didn't mesh well with them, you're kind of nervous about it. But I found that half the time, by the time they come back, they're different. Things have changed over the last 2 years. But the good part of it is you can skip that part of the year where you gotta like figure them out and like get to know them again. So you just jump right in and you kind of go. And so far that's been going really well. A couple of things I need to like figure out with some of my classes, just in terms of temperaments and trying to engage discussions more and getting people to talk. As you know, I'm really big on getting people to
we struggled with that.
share their voices. Yes. And 8th grade, I've just reached the point where I'm getting to see how things are really going. We're reading a book, so we're engaging homework, but overall, all my classes, I'm really excited for the year with them. It's already been good. Like, I'm not going home and being like, oh my gosh, like nothing's driving me crazy. I'm having a lot of fun with them. Things seem to be going really well. I'm really excited about doing new stuff. Like every year I always say, okay, this will be the year where I'm just gonna, reuse a lot of things, try to keep things simple. Like, let's not try to go crazy. But then literally last night I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I need to think of new ways to do this, this, and this. And then I'm gonna change that book, and I'm not gonna do that book with, like, I'm changing everything again. And I'm like looking at old tests and essays that I've made, and I'm like, I don't like that anymore. Even though it was new last year, and I'm changing it again. So every time I do that, that's more planning, that's more time, but I'm not a very complacent person. I've realized I think I have to keep like changing and adapting things. Otherwise, for teaching, 10 years, you do the same thing over and over 10 years, it gets old. Yeah. So I am really excited for the school year. I can't believe it's already been like a month and we're at midterm.
I know.
And that year's going fast for you. I'm gonna tell you guys back in like 10th grade, I'm like, it's gonna be over before you know it. You're gonna be out of here in the real world. It's great, but there's a lot of other stuff that comes at you. But no, I am excited. I'm ready for the school year. A lot of changes this year that we have to get used to. Mm-hmm. A lot of teachers, rotating in and out and trying to figure that out. So we'll have new people here again soon. So that's always something to think about. But I am generally really excited for the school year. Like I said, I came in early. Mm-hmm. Something about this year, I just felt like I'm just like ready to do stuff. I don't know, really weird, because normally, not that I'm lazy, by any means I'm not lazy, but the summers do get really nice when you're just like sitting and you can like relax, drink your coffee and not like chug it when you're trying to like teach, and it actually stays hot because you're at home, whereas here half the time I'm reheating my coffee like 3 times before I can actually drink it. But I don't know, it's nice, and maybe it's because like just the classes this year are like meshing really well, I don't know, but I do feel good about this school year. And excited for it. I even went to a football game already. That's early for me. I usually wait, so I went. So, good stuff. I'm excited.
Thank you for talking with us today.
Welcome.
I really enjoyed listening about your summer.
Thanks. Have me anytime. I love being here. It's great. Everyone should always listen to all these podcasts. These kids work hard for it, so it's always worth listening to.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, currently as we are speaking, it is Tuesday, September 17th. You're going to see this way after that. But homecoming is coming up. It is right around the corner. From where we're talking right now, it's under a month. So by the time you see this, it'll probably be like 2-3 weeks. So October 12th, same day as Hartslog Day. Everyone show out to that. It's going to be an exciting time. Senior year, we're going to go all out. I can tell you that. I'll be dancing my butt off. So look forward to that. Haunted School's coming up. You got anything?
Spirit Week for homecoming.
Oh yeah, Spirit Week for homecoming. If you're a student listening to this, you better dress up. I mean, I'm telling you.
It's Meme Monday.
Yeah, Meme Monday.
Twin
Tuesday. Wild West Wednesday. Is it Movie Character Thursday? I think it's Movie Character Thursday. Or no, it's Throwback Thursday this year, I think. It's either Movie Character or Throwback Thursday. Either one of those will be exciting. Then we got Green and White Friday before the homecoming game. So it's a very exciting time here in the Valley, as everyone knows. I can't wait, honestly. I mean, we have the Haunted School coming up in less than a month. Well, almost, a little over a month, but almost exactly a month. That's exciting. I mean, every year we get a great crowd from that. Everyone who's listening, adult-wise and student-wise, please come, bring your kids. I mean, some parts that are a little scary, but, we'll have the haunted hayride again, which wasn't too bad. The kids love that, get some candy, ride on the tractor. It's a big thing here in the Valley, so.
Possible would be your pants.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you adults. I mean, we're trying to go bigger, better, and scarier this year. I mean, we've done it the last 2 years, gotten great feedback from everybody. It's just that's April Boss and Maddie Dix, senior project. So we'll talk to them. We'll see what they plan on donating that to. That's obviously a great cause. Those are two very involved people in the community. So it's only a month left of football season, month left of volleyball season till the playoffs. I mean, like we said earlier, we got some very good teams this year. Just trying to do big things here in the Valley, and very excited for what we have coming up. This is Grant and Brooke wrapping this one up. We thank you all for listening. We hope that you enjoyed the stories from the teachers. We know this one's a little bit long. Not all the podcasts will be like this, we promise. But we thought that these teachers definitely had some very exciting stories, and we thank you for listening. Peace out. Cut the mic.